and Africa, leadership issues with the people of dark skin, leadership issues that will make things better and turn things around. Our guest today is the founder and CEO of TheCable, Nigeria's well-regarded online newspaper. He previously was editor of This Day from 2007 to 2012. Got his bachelor's degree in mass communication from the prestigious University of Lagos in 1992. Great Okakite. Great. Great. And a master's in governance and development from the University of Sussex in the UK in 2006. As a British Chevening scholar, he was named among Africa's next generation of leaders by The Banker, a publication of Financial Times of London, in 2009. He's also a Mo Ibrahim Fellow on the Governance for Development in Africa initiative at the SOAS, School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London in 2010. In 2012, he was named Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum. He has just published his first book, Fellow Nigerians, It's All Politics. Please welcome with me this afternoon His Excellency Simon Gbenga Kolawole, founder and CEO of TheCable and former troubler of Nigeria. Simon, you're welcome. Thank you very much for everything and all that you do. And thank you for being a faithful Nigerian. The question today is very simple. Can 2023 usher in a new dawn for Nigeria? What do you think?
Thank you very much, Pastor, for this opportunity, for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. And for this forum, we should not joke with knowledge. Any country we call great today, knowledge is at the center of the national life. So I'm very happy that we have this kind of forum where we can share ideas, thoughts on how our country can be great and be greater than this. I have noticed that every election year, we renew our hopes in Nigeria. It's like an opportunity to dream afresh, to start afresh, to redream Nigeria. So it's a legitimate expectation, it's a legitimate hope, it's a legitimate ambition. But I have watched over time, let's even talk about the Fourth Republic. When Obasanjo was coming in 1999, it was like, oh, this is an opportunity to reboot Nigeria. After so many years of military rule, we're having a democracy. So this is a new dawn. Obasanjo, a former head of state, military head of state, he had the experience, a retired general, he was acceptable to the military and the civil populace. A Christian, he was acceptable to Muslims and Christians. So we were very happy to enter a new era. So this is a new Nigeria. Unfortunately, in less than 1 year, people started abusing him. Oh, in fact, Abacha was not this bad. Oh, look at the exchange rate, it has fallen. Under Abacha, it was 22 naira, now it's 120 naira. Oh, look at petrol price, he has increased petrol price. And we were looking forward to a new dawn in 2007 again. Eradua came along, oh, the servant leader. Oh, this guy is very frugal. He had never traveled to the US before. He's not stealing, he's honest. He read analytical chemistry, he's very educated. The first president of Nigeria to have a master's. But in less than 6 months again, we're back to ground zero. Oh, this guy has torn Nigeria. Oh, he's reversing everything Obasanjo has done. Oh, Nigeria is not moving forward. I remember I even wrote an article then, and I was quoting the Sunny Ade song where I was saying, and I was like, is this man taking us forward or taking us backward? He became critically ill. Then we had Jonathan, breath of fresh air. He was in his 50s. You say, yes, he had a PhD. For the first time, we had somebody who had a PhD. Oh, this is an opportunity for a new Nigeria. And in a matter of time, we were back abusing Jonathan. Oh, even that was not this bad. Then Buhari came with the message of change in 2015. It's how to change everything. Oh, this man, such an honest man. He didn't even have money to buy his nomination form. It was people that contributed money. Oh, every Nigerian will have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In less than 6 months, again, we're back to square one. So I'm trying to moderate our expectations. As we are going to 2023 again, I'm hearing all kinds again about how somebody will, there will be no more mosquitoes, there will be no more rats, Motion will become Victoria Island will become Dubai. I think we should just calm down. 2023 is not going to usher in anything extraordinary, not a cause. I'm not being negative. I'm just saying, let's calm down. If Nigeria is going to change, it is not the president alone that is going to change Nigeria. If Nigeria is going to change, we run a federal system of government where you have the center and you have the subnational government. You have federal government, you have states, you have councils. If Nigeria is going to change, if there's going to be a new dawn, there has to be a form of consensus between the president and the governors and the council chairman to pursue a common goal of development. The president alone is not going to achieve that. When Obasanjo came in 1999, he wanted us to go the path of agriculture and industry. And he actually, when he was head of state in the 70s, he was saying, Operation Feed the Nation. He wanted us to go back to agriculture because agriculture is what can easily employ people, whether you are skilled or you are not skilled, whether you have education or you don't have education. So when you are talking of employment generation, then you can feed yourself. When hunger is not on your agenda, you are in a better position to reason. So when he came in 1999 and said he wanted to do it, the governor said, no, Mr. President, we are running a federal system of government. The federal government does not even have land anywhere apart from maybe federal capital territory. You cannot dictate to us what we do with agri. It is under us because agriculture is actually under concurrent list. And he said, okay, you know what, you guys, everybody, I want you to take a cash crop that you are going to promote so that we can feed this nation, so that we can provide raw material for our own industry, so that we can export. So some states, I remember Donald Duke, then governor of Cross River State, he took pineapple as its own. Some took rice, some took cashew, some talk about orange. But to be honest, I don't know what came out of it. The president cannot enforce because he does not have such powers over the states. So if Nigeria is going to be great, if Nigeria is going to have a new dawn, it is not one election cycle. It is not one president that is going to do it. It's going to be something that is a joint vision implemented faithfully by all the governors and the council chairmen. And of course, Nigerians have to be part of it. So if I have to answer that question in a very simple English, that I don't think the new dawn is here yet.
Okay, Simon, thank you so much for that elucidation and everything. But one thing I wanted us to do before we continue is to remember all the flood victims in Nigeria, especially in the
Pastor, I think we lost your audio.
Are you?
Your audio is out. It's out. We can't hear you. So we can, I think, continuing on that, just to remember the flood victims and to remember to pray for them and to pray for Nigeria as well, for God to have mercy and avert the disaster, this flood disaster. So I don't know if you wanted us, at least we lost him completely. So I don't know if you wanted us to take a moment of prayer, just to remember those that have been lost. And so if we can just do 1 minute of prayer for them.
Okay.
Amen. May the souls of those that have departed rest in peace, and may God have mercy on all of us and Nigeria. Pastor Sonny Enebi is joining in, so he'll probably take over for Pastor while Pastor tries to rejoin. So Mr. Kolawole, if you can continue along the thoughts of, I think there's something that I got out from what you said, with the current situation, that we get excited when there's an opportunity for a change in government, and you want to moderate. I like the word you said, you want to moderate our expectation. What does that mean in terms of moderating the expectations of Nigerians, to say that it is not a change of leadership that is going to bring about a new dawn? Can you speak a little bit to that? Pastor is rejoining now.
Thank you very much, Ma. Yes, we just spoke about flood now. There was a warning that went out 2-3 months ago that there was going to be flood in September, October, and November. And states, about 24 states were to be affected, and they were put on their laps to get ready. Unfortunately, I don't know how many states got ready for it. And when we're having this discussion now, every blame is going back to the federal government or to the president. That is the president that should have done something. Now, what point am I trying to make? We need to understand and accept that if Nigeria is going to be greater than this, it is not the duty of just one person. The president plays the lead role in many things. The president plays the lead role in terms of security, in terms of defense, in terms of monetary policy, in terms of international relations. However, by the Constitution of Nigeria, every level of government has its own responsibility. Today, when we say children are out of school, I've made this point in a number of places. When we say 10 million children are out of school, children of school age are out of school. Now, if a president comes in and says, I want education to be the bedrock of my government, because there is no country in this world that has developed that is full of illiterates. In fact, part of the indices of measuring development is the number of educated people you have, the number of literate people you have in your country. And literacy is defined basically ability to read and write. It does not include university education. Those ones are extra. So having primary education and being educated up to GS3 is what is called basic education. Now, primary education is under the local government council. It's not under the federal government. The same thing with secondary education, which is under states. The federal government has probably 140 schools, secondary schools. I think the unity schools. Those are the schools that are under the federal government. We have probably about 100,000 secondary schools in Nigeria. Now, so when statistics come out and they say 10 million children are out of school, 12 million children are out of school, the headline will be, oh, under President Jonathan, 12 million children are out of school. And the president is not even ashamed. Or under President Buhari, or under President whoever. But the fact is that primary education is the responsibility of local governments. So every election year, we create these expectations, we create this we create these standards for the president of the Federal Republic. Another issue, I just spoke about the environment now. There is something called ecological fund that the state access from the federal government. It is meant to take care of these ecological problems, to prevent an outbreak of flood and erosion and all that, or to manage them. The World Bank gave grants to states to be able to also address these ecological problems. But how many states spent the money where it was meant to be spent? So if we think somebody will sit down in Abuja and will be the one to make the primary schools work, the primary health care centers that are run by councils, which are supposed to be the first port of call for people who have certain illnesses. If you go there today, many of them don't have nurses, they don't have doctors, they don't have drugs. But we expect somebody in Abuja, we think it is when somebody comes to Abuja that the primary health care centers will work. These councils are even responsible to states. The states control the councils. So we need to be able to have a productive debate about Nigeria, to be able to have realistic expectations. We need a proper understanding of how the structure works. We need a proper understanding of what makes a nation great. We need a proper understanding of the political structure, how it can develop, how it can deliver development. So that those that should be held responsible, we can place the appropriate responsibility, we can place the responsibility in the appropriate quarters. I will cite one more example before I come back to you. Today, we look at federal budget and say, oh, government is not meeting the UNESCO standard for percentage of budget to education. But the states are also supposed to fund education, not just the federal government. So we don't look at what the percentage states are putting. Today, we talk about budget padding. We talk about National Assembly. We talk about debt. Oh, federal government revenue cannot even service its debt. We do not look at the states. If their own revenue is servicing their own debt. States are taking loans. They are taking local loans. They are taking foreign loans. They are raising bonds. We don't ever examine those things. That, oh, how is the state? What is the percentage of revenue that is going into debt service in all the states? We don't. And we don't think that these things matter. It is these bits that make up the whole. It's this part that make up the whole of Nigeria. If one part is not working, if one tier of government is not working, we should not expect miracle from any president. No matter his good intention, no matter how nice the person, no matter how educated, no matter how competent. If one part of the federation is not working, if one part of the federation is at risk, it is a danger to the rest of us in the federation. So that is the point. That's the extra I would like to add to my initial comments. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I think Pastor is back on.
Yes, he's back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Simon, thank you very much. And thank you for managing the flood and all that. But they say that it was a dam in Chad or Niger or so, that they built a dam in Niger, and they asked Nigerian government to build an equivalent dam somewhere in Nigeria, so that when they open their own dam, you had your own dam to block the water, blah, blah, blah. But trust Nigerian government, they didn't respond, they didn't do anything. Is that story true? And even if the states had been ready to face this flood problem and all that, what really could they have done? Would they have had to build barriers, or would they have dug trenches, or would they have had a power vacuum to vacuum out the flood? Really, what could they do for something of a national nature like that?
Yeah, this is not the first time we're having this kind of flood. One, there's climate change, so there are more rains. Rains are heavier than they used to be. For those who must have noticed, even rain is still falling. We're in October now, and it's still raining as if we're in June or so. So it is very predictable that that the water level will rise. In Lagos, there's a dam in Ogun State called Onyu Dam. Every year they release water from the dam, and it floods Lagos, parts of Ikorodu, Majidun, Owode, even up to Ketu, Alapere, the flood goes. It happens almost every year. So what could government have done? To build a dam is not, if you are going to build a dam, it's probably a project that will take you, I don't know if there are civil engineers here who can help us out. It's a project that will take us, take 5 years, 6 years. That's going to, you have to do environmental impact assessment. So it's not something that we can just build a dam overnight. However, what could government have done? That is part of the, what I was saying about responsibility. It is very clear, for instance, look at Kogi State. Lokoja is the confluence of River Niger and River Benue. So you don't need any expert from anywhere to tell you that it's going to be an epicenter. And Lokoja is gateway to about 20 something states, about 24 states of the Federation, that they pass through Lokoja to connect different states, not just Federal Capital Territory. And so why it is more pronounced is that a lot of people were stuck because they couldn't pass it. Now, what could have been done? Alternatives. One, you have to resettle people. You have to, since the people, the experts are saying September, October, the water will overflow. Jigawa also had a serious flood. I think more than 100 people died in Jigawa. But the moment they tell you, you begin to build settlements where people can move into provide temporary camps that where they can be for 2-3 months, enlighten them on what is happening, provide them with security. All these things can be done to save lives. Then the water will go down again. In other countries, they have their own forms of natural disaster. They have earthquakes. They have, what do they call it? Cyclone. They have all kinds of things. They prepare for storms. In the US, it's a yearly thing. They even give it names, storm this, storm that. They give it male name, they give it female name, alternative. They get people ready. So they minimize the impact. Because a natural disaster is beyond us. If you don't release water from the dam will burst and it won't be a bigger disaster because the entire dam will come down. So when water is at high level, you have to release water from the dam so that it doesn't collapse the dam. And the repercussion is that those who are along the banks of River Niger and River Benue, they are going to suffer the consequences.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Let's move on a little bit from that. And I'm going to take this question and then I'm going to leave Jumoke and Sonny to take over. And then I'll rejoin later. Who is going to win the 2023 elections? End of story. Who should we vote for? Tell me.
Also, you have put me in a very
between you, Unduka, Muhammad Buhari, you must know who's going to win. So I can't let you go. Just tell me now.
Well, the way things are, I would still say there are 3 major candidates, although some people insist that there are 4. I think Peter Obi is a major candidate. Atiku is a major candidate. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a major candidate. Some would say Kokonso. I still believe that it doesn't have the kind of spread needed to make the kind of impact that we can say, okay, this is one of the top candidates. But I'm sure his supporters will not agree with me, and I'm sorry for that. In recent times, Peter Obi has been gathering momentum. The moment he left PDP and went into Labour Party, it was just like a new wave. He started getting the kind of support he did not even get when he was in PDP. And he's been presented now as though he's not part of them. He's a new kind of guy. He thinks differently. He's younger. He's healthier. And his own part of the country has not produced a president before. There's also the issue of religion. APC is filling a Muslim ticket. Atiku, the candidate of PDP, is a Muslim. And so I can see some Christian support building up for him, even in the Christian part of the North. However, I cannot for sure predict who is going to win, but I can say certain things that I'm very sure of. The Peter Obi phenomenon is hurting PDP more than it is hurting APC. PDP used to win the Southeast, all the 5 states in the Southeast in presidential election. I bet you PDP, Peter Obi is going to win the 5 states in the Southeast. I don't bet, but I'm 99% certain that he's going to win the 5 states. I don't know the margin. I don't know if it's going to be landslide. I don't know the margin. And so that is a big problem for the PDP. Now, the South too, PDP used to win those states, the South states, right from 1999. It has become problematic again with Obi's candidature. I don't see Obi clearing the South in terms of votes, but it's River State that has always gone the way of PDP. There's a problem between the River State governor and the presidential candidate of PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Now, so there's no certainty for him even in Rivers. I expect him to do well in Akwa Ibom State because it's a PDP state. Edo State is going to be a bit dicey. The Oshomole factor is still there. PDP governor currently there, and Obi is also gaining traction. So I see the South as mixed, and I think Atiku is going to be hit there too. The 6 states that used to be guaranteed for PDP, I don't think we can, in all honesty, expect to win 6 states in the Southeast. Of course, the Southwest, I would not be surprised if APC clears the Southwest. But Lagos will also be a very good battleground. And I think the people usually vote for PDP in Lagos are going to vote for Peter Obi this time around. That is my own analysis of it. In the North, the Christian North has never really been pro-APC. They've never really supported any party that Buhari belonged to. They've always supported PDP, mostly, not everybody. And again, because of the religion factor now, they are moving towards Peter Obi. So even PDP's votes in the North are being shared. So all these things make it very difficult to make a definitive statement on who is going to win the election. But it's going to be a very interesting election. Anyway it happens, history will be made. If APC wins, Tinubu wins, a Muslim ticket wins, well, for the second time, but at least we expect that to be sworn in. And maybe it will, that will be the first time that it has happened in this dispensation. In the past, we've had the same people of the same religion. When Buhari was head of state, his deputy was Tunde Diago, both of them were Muslims. When Gawan was head of state, he was Christian. His deputy in the military, Admiral Way, was a Christian. His deputy in the cabinet, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was a Christian. So it was a Christian ticket then. In the past, Awolowo fielded the Christian ticket. Nnamdi Azikiwe fielded the Christian ticket. But this will be the first time really that we'll have a Muslim presidency, as it were. If Tinubu wins. If Atiku wins, it means that this so-called power rotation is not working because it means that power remains in the North for 16 years. And that makes a statement that the North can always decide to keep power if they want. I don't know if that is going to happen, but if Atiku wins, that also makes that statement. If Obi wins, it also means that, the Southeast has been asking for years, it's our turn, give us this thing. Now it's not campaigning on the basis of Southeast. That also means that he has broken the jinx without any rotation, without any zoning. He has broken the jinx, just a mass movement that has taken the ticket. So those are the comments I can make now on the election. Maybe when the election becomes closer, I'll be more definite on who is going to win.
Okay, so I'm back. Unfortunately, Pastor has left, so my questions are a lot easier. And but well, yeah, my questions will be a lot easier. But while we are talking about elections, you did mention something about moderating our expectation, and you've named the potential candidates or the strong candidates. So how do we as Nigerians manage our expectations from each of them. You also said it's not the president alone that is going to do this work. And then I'll follow up with some questions about the state and what is happening. But how do we, as Nigerians, don't repeat the same mistakes we've made before, where we're just like, we're reactionary, we're moving, okay, anything better, anything but this current government, and we're not mad. So yeah, so please speak a little bit about that so that we're more educated and we're more prepared for what is coming, because right now no one really knows. We have these three strong candidates, and it could be any one of the 16 of them really, but speak to us about managing those expectations and how we as Nigerians really prepare to take our country back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. I may say some controversial things, but just bear with me. Democracy does not guarantee you the best, that the best will be your president. Rather, democracy guarantees you that the person with the highest votes will be the president. How do you know who's going to perform in office? Nobody. Only God has that knowledge. We have voted for people that we read their manifesto and say, fantastic manifesto. Let's go back to the APC manifesto of 2015. Fantastic. What else we have asked for? So, but you don't know. But Buhari became president, and for 6 months, he didn't have a cabinet and everything. We have not recovered from that till now. Because 1 minute in the life of a nation makes a lot, in the life of 200 million people. So sometimes we're only wise after the event that, oh, and you know one prayer I'm praying, man, that never happens, that we are not going to be saying in 2024 and say, even Buhari was not this bad. I pray that it's not going to happen. Now, why am I making that point now? Why I'm making that point is that it is practically impossible for democracy to produce the best anywhere in the world. It's not just Nigeria. You win an election based on several reasons. You have a large following, maybe because of where you come from or because of the strength of your party. It's not because you have the best degree. It's not because you have the best CV. Donald Trump became president of America, and in 2019, he got 74 million votes. He could have been elected. So there's no guarantee, there's no democracy anywhere in the world that guarantees you that the best. It only guarantees you that the person with the highest votes, if it is not rigged, will become president. Now, what do I mean by we should manage our expectations? There are some things that can change in 4 years. There are some things that cannot change in 4 years. So we should pinpoint what we want that should change in 4 years and engage with whoever wins. It doesn't have to be our own candidate. If our candidate doesn't win, then the person becomes the president of Nigeria. We have to hold the person responsible. What are the things that can change in 4 years? Security can change in 4 years. You can be better secure with seriousness, with a reorganization of the security agencies, with a better structure for management of security, bringing in the experts, wherever they may be, to help us. It can change in 4 years for the better. However, we are not going to move from dependence on oil revenue within 4 years. It's not going to happen. So what that means is that our exchange rate, because it is crude oil export, that was bringing the major source, of forex inflow into the country. And now, in a typical month, Nigerians demand about $5 billion from the CBN for different things. They want to travel for medical, they want to travel for masters, they want to import cars, they want to import raw materials for this and that. In a typical month, $5 billion, according to different estimates. But what comes in a month is less than $1 billion at times. So how do you meet the demand? There's no way the naira will not continue to fall. So until we diversify our exports, until we're able to make as much from exports as we were making from oil, our exchange rate is not going to improve. Let's be very clear about that. Fuel subsidy, any president that comes in and says he's going to retain fuel subsidy, we are going to keep going deeper and deeper into debt. So my own expectation is that whoever becomes president next is going to increase fuel price. I will not be disappointed. Whoever it is, in fact, the three of them have spoken that subsidy has to go. So I'm not going to start abusing the president and say, oh, our fuel price has gone up, this is even worse. It's worse than the previous. I'm not going to do that. My expectations are very clear. Debt management, we cannot the way our debts are, we cannot overcome the debt crisis overnight. So we should continue to expect that the Naira will not grow strong. We should continue to expect inflation, that currently inflation is about 20%. Many of them food inflation. So I'm still I won't be surprised if inflation remains 20% for the next 2-3 years. I'm not going to blame any president for that because it is the structure of our economy. We have been running an economy since we hit oil boom in the 70s. Our economy has been plastic. It has not been real. Before the oil boom, we had a real economy that was growing, that was not based on surpluses, that was not based on boom. It was not an oil boom. It was based on real industry and agriculture. Now, any president that is going to change that, it will take a minimum, for me, in my own, judging from the development history of countries like Korea, Hong Kong, not Hong Kong, Taiwan, even China, it takes 16 to 20 years of planning, consistency, implementation before you can turn the fortune of a country around. So if a president comes in 2023 and by 2027, the Naira has not become $1 to $1, I'm not going to blame him. But if the security is worse, I'm going to blame him. If in the long run, it will reduce the amount of money we spend on printing currency because we print money every time. So one, they say two, many of these kidnappers have stockpiled billions of Naira collecting ransoms. So by the time the currency is changed, where are you going to spend it? Are you going to take it to the bank? Can you take $2 billion to a bank and say, give me new currency? So it's going to be, I'm very sure the money laundering, the agency that address money laundering, to be very much on the lookout on the pattern of deposit into account. Also, the CBN also wants Nigerians to go electronic in terms of spending, in terms of transactions. So by the time, I normally keep some cash in case of emergency. But if I now have to take my cash to the bank, maybe 200,000, 300,000, the transaction I want to do, I will now be using bank app. They also have this email they want people to spend. So they want more people to migrate to electronic money using bank transfers, USSD, POS, and all that. So I think that is also part of what they are planning. I think for the elections too, a lot of politicians have been keeping money under the ground that they are going to spend during the election. Now, because the timing, I suspect that they were targeting the election. That's why everything has to be concluded by January. The election is in February. So if you plan to bribe people with the billions you have kept somewhere, they are not going to collect your money. You now have to take the money to the bank. Now, of course, there will be consequences. People who want to buy up dollars, they want to store their value in dollars, and that means the exchange will continue to go up because we don't have the dollars. And the simple law of economics that we were taught in secondary school, if demand is more than supply, the price will go up. So those are my comments on that. Yeah.
Thank you for enlightening us on that. And that brings me to a part B of this question. So what is the role of the media, being that you're from the media, in really putting this information out there for Nigerians to be aware of what's going on so that it's not because what you've just outlined makes sense. Yeah. It's a strategy to curb kidnapping and also dismantle terrorist activities. So what's the role of the media in really getting the information out there so that Nigerians are aware? I don't know that the government has done a great job of really explaining why there's this change, why they are moving the currency, changing the currency. So can you speak a little bit about that? And then we'll open the floor to a couple more questions. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much, Ma. Actually, it is the duty of the media to inform, to educate. People look up to the media for this information. It is through the media they had that CBN is changing the design of the Naira. So it is also fair for the media to educate them. I believe that the CBN has a publicity plan because, again, this question I've answered, now if you ask 10 journalists this same question, maybe 5 or 6 will not even know the significance of it. So the media also need to be properly educated, to be properly informed before we can inform people. So the primary responsibility goes to the CBN so that we give out the right information to the people, and then we take it up from there.
So there's a need for the media to build a strong relationship with, I would say, the government, so that there's free flow of information, and then the media can also report back to the. So how is that working? How is that relationship?
The relationship between the media and the government is always. We should realize that the media, there are various interests. There are those who are sympathetic to a government, and there are those who are against a government. There are newspapers owned by politicians. There are newspapers owned by business moguls. There are newspapers that have sympathies for certain parties, for certain political tendencies. So it's very difficult to have a unified or a united media in this instance. But it is still the job of the government to pass the appropriate information through the media. And if Nigerians are being misinformed, it is the job of the government to correct the misinformation, not to fight. What we have is what we've always had in Nigeria is the government that is antagonistic to the media, because it's like we're at war. Simple things that should be made, that should be explained to us, will not be explained to us. And so some who are not professional enough or who have their own agenda will now be misinforming Nigeria, and government will not start fighting them. But it is the job of the government to give the correct information. The media does not have the information if they don't give it to us. That's why you want us to resort to speculation.
Thank you for that. That brings me to another question about the upcoming election and INEC's readiness to deliver a credible election in 2023. And you as the media, can you speak a little bit about that?
Yes. The media, there's something that's happening in the media that has made me a bit uncomfortable. There seems to be a campaign against INEC that's being orchestrated in the media. And I have observed INEC keenly since from the time of Professor Atahiru Jega. INEC has been improving in its performance. And I think we need to understand what INEC is doing and to criticize them constructively, not with a rumor peddling, not with promoting people's agenda. There's something INEC has done that many people still don't know. They introduced this thing called BVAS, which is used to authenticate voters before you vote. Now, what is the significance of this BVAS? When you get to your polling unit, they take your fingerprint. It brings out your information. In fact, well, I'm not speaking on behalf of INEC, but I think even if you misplace your card now, you can vote. You will be authenticated with this BVAS. The moment your fingerprint is authenticated, you can vote. Now, what is the significance of this? The moment you are authenticated, that is accreditation. So you cannot accredit someone twice because it's biometric information they are using. Just as you can't have two passports now, it's impossible for you to have two passports because the moment they put biometric, it will bring out that it's the same person. So before, what used to happen while rigging was quite easier was that if there are 200 voters that were registered in the polling unit, if only 20 people turned up to vote, the agents can collude and make up the number and make sure that 200 votes were cast. Now it is impossible. The moment you are accredited and it's only 20 people that are accredited, it is stored on the system. So if there are more than 20 votes in that unit, it is immediately flagged that there's overvoting. So it's difficult to do that now. Secondly, when they have counted and you have filled the form, everybody has signed APC, so number, PDP, so number, and you have signed, immediately they scan it with the BVAS or whatever equipment they are using, and it is uploaded. The last election in Osun State, by 10 p.m., all the results were on our next website, all from every polling unit, all. So by the time they were reading results in at the collation center, it was impossible for you to come up with another result. What used to happen is that the result at the polling unit is different from the results that will be submitted to the collation center. Now they have it real time. As you scan it, they have it, so you can't change it. And it carries the signature of all the polling agents. So I think INEC has continued to improve on its performance. And what we can do is to encourage them. If there are still lapses, we highlight these lapses, we criticize these lapses, we suggest how these lapses can be addressed, rather than just resorting to blackmail, to campaign of lies, campaign of because of politics. If something is working in Nigeria, let us acknowledge it. If there are imperfections, let's point out the imperfections and suggest ways to improve. Anybody can say there's a problem. The most difficult thing is saying this is the solution to a problem. That's one you hardly hear from people. But if you gather us together and say, let us list Nigeria's problem, we can be discussing here for the next 1 year. Okay, what is the solution? That's where the problem starts.
Thank you so much for that. And now we're still on this subject of INEC and the elections. And so the youth, 2023, last week, we remembered NSAS and the young people that really that fought for change and went out there to fight for change. And we lost a few of them. And they still make up a strong voting bloc now. So can you speak to the role of the youth in 2023 and beyond, empowering the youth, supporting the youth to actually, because we are recycling old people. I mean, I was probably in secondary school or primary school when a lot of these people came into power, and it's 50 years later, they are still there. But we do need innovative ideas. The youth, they're extremely intelligent. We had one on the platform last week, and they're doing phenomenal things. Speak about their role in the new dawn for Nigeria and 2023 and beyond that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma. Like in my book, Fellow Nigerians in All Politics, some of the articles there actually speak to the role of the youth in the development of Nigeria. In the past, all this, when we hear of Zik, Awolowo, they were young people when they were in politics. So they had great chances in the past. When Obasanjo was head of state, when Gowon was head of state, he was 30 or 31. I can't remember the age. Obasanjo too. In fact, Gowon got married as president. For you to see how young he was. So in our history, we've had young people. Even in 1999, Ibori, Jonah Duke, and 3 or 4 governors, they were in their 30s. They were in their 30s when they became. So it's nothing new. When we're talking, of course, it depends on how we define youth. I stopped calling myself youth since I got married. Although some people, it's after NYC, they stop calling themselves youth. In some churches, the youth leader, you see somebody 70-year-old is still in the youth fellowship. So I don't, the definition of youth is also a bit controversial, but I see youth, if you are, the way we define youth in Nigeria, if you are less than 40, even if you are in your 40s, you should be, for the nature of politics to play in Nigeria, they should still be youth. Given that the president is 80 years old, he's going to be 80 years old next month. So if you are half his age, you're also to be considered a youth. Now, youth are taking more active part. Many of the youth are coming up with innovative ideas. And so it is very important for us to incorporate this into our politics. It's also very important for them to go out there and fight it out. Power will not be brought to you on a table. You must also be part of the system. The new Prime Minister of UK, Sunak, is 42 years old. But Sunak has the experience of 80-year-olds in Nigeria. He's been chancellor, he's been whatever, he's been part of government. It's not as if they just looked at him and said, 42-year-old, come and be our prime minister. No, he's been part of the system since he was in his 20s. So the youth must also understand that there's a ladder to be climbed, and they should get on this ladder on time so that they can bring the youth have demonstrated. Look at Nollywood, look at Afrobeat. They don't have anything to prove. We can say our education system is this, or we can try to focus on the negatives. Oh, people are doing Yahoo and all that. We can't decide, but we also have guys who are doing the fintechs, young people coming up with innovative ideas. So they are there. They can stand their own anywhere in the world, any field in the world. So they should be active. You don't judge you by what you read on social media. The most innovative youth, the most intelligent youth, they may not spend their time tweeting and abusing people. They are busy in the office writing programs and software and making business plans. They don't have time to be calling people weary on social media. So I think they have a place. But again, we have to also realize that when we say there are 12 million youths going to vote, there are 16 million youths going to vote, how many of them are on social media, really? How many people on social media? We really need to gauge. So we need to get this message across to them. And these youths we are talking about, they're all over the country. When you say there are 12 million youths or 30 million youths going to vote, it includes the youth of Sokoto State, the youth of Borno State, the youth of Kwara State. It's not just youth in Lagos. It's not those who are tweeting every minute. No. The youth who are not even on Twitter, you'll be shocked that they may form up to 90% of the young population that are going to vote.
Yeah, thank you. And I think the generations before them also owe them a lot of support. I don't know that we've given the youths the adequate support for them to be successful, and they're very resilient, and you could see that they're pushing, and with more support from the older generation, I think they will definitely be more successful. You were talking about education earlier on, and so let's speak a little bit about education as a catalyst to the new dawn in Nigeria. I could go on and on about educational system. Most of us, for those of us that grew up in Nigeria in the 60s and in the 70s, I would say we got probably the best of Nigeria in terms of education. And it's evident with Nigerians across the world and what they're doing with phenomenal things they're doing. So speak about the educational system, what we need to do to bring it back to that high level that it was before, that can really contribute to national development?
Yeah, very difficult question. Like I would say it was.
And I thought I was the one asking the easy questions.
It was easier to manage the education ecosystem under the military, because an order will be given from the central government and it will be implemented up to the council level. In a democracy and in a federal system that we run, it's becoming more and more difficult because every state decides what to do with its education, whether to fund it or not to fund it. So you have situations where some students are studying chemistry without chemicals. They've never seen chemicals. In fact, we now started something called alternative to practicals. They are studying physics, no lab. Some people study biology, they've not seen a microscope. You cannot even put a microorganism under the microscope to see it. When I schooled under the military, we had a microscope. We were seeing spirogyra, all those things on the microscope. But I can assure you, the same secondary school I went to, if you go there today, the microscopes are packed up, the lab is gone, and students are now studying chemistry with, maybe the teacher even had F9 in chemistry, and it's now the one teaching them chemistry. So we have a system that is not very difficult to control because every state decides the kind of education, the kind of attention it wants to pay to education. And so that is where to start from. I think the president needs to bring these people together for us to have if it's a state of emergency, we want to declare on our education system because there is serious problem. There's problem of infrastructure, classroom infrastructure. There's problem of resources, textbooks, even teachers. Who wants to teach? How many people want to be primary school teachers? How many people want to be secondary school teachers? So it is only the schools that can pay. It is only the school where you are going to be paying 1 million per year that you can think of getting quality education. If there was no government school when I was growing up, I probably would not have gone to school because why would my grandmother have got 1 million to pay Corona or whatever? And the majority of the children of the poor, they go to these schools. So we need an action plan. We need to look at the curriculum because the world is changing. Our own education system is tailored towards cramming and regurgitating what you have crammed. Base up, as we say. That is the way. So we need a fundamental change to it. So we need a change to the structure. We need a change to the curriculum. We need a change to we need personnel. We need to encourage people to teach, not just in the urban areas, but in rural areas. When I was in secondary school, I keep saying it, we had Indian teachers. It was an Indian that taught me math. It was an Indian that taught additional math. It was an Indian that taught us biology. It was an Indian that taught us integrated science. They were living with us in the village. They were living with us in the village. But the same school today, go back there, there is no, they don't have teachers. And then we now say failure rate in WAEC is 90%. Now, why would it not be high? So we need to restructure at that level. We pay a lot of attention to university education in Nigeria and postgraduate. But if you look at Western countries, their major attention is to primary and secondary school. All they want you to have is literacy knowledge, literacy skills, and numeracy skills. What you now do with the rest is your own wahala. You want to go and study engineering, you have to go and take a loan, it's your wahala. It's none of their problem. But they want to make sure, so they make, like in the UK, primary education is free and quality, secondary education is free and quality. So you, by the time you go through that, you can now do whatever you want with your life.
Yeah.
So we need to go back to those basics. And of course, the president has to take the lead. It's not the president that runs primary schools, but he can make it a project. Get the governors together and say, look, let's go back to the basics. Let's improve our curriculum. Let's focus on classroom infrastructure. Let's focus on teachers. Let's give incentives to teachers to go and teach in rural areas. Maybe you give them accommodation, maybe you give them a kekemawa or whatever, so that they can begin to contribute to the development of education at that level.
Yeah. I hope all the presidential candidates are listening to you, will make this available to them, because that's actually strong advice. And that brings me to the last question that I have, and then I'll open up the floor to others that want to ask questions. You know, you're talking about education, but there is a lot of brain drain. There are a lot of people that got quality education from Nigeria that has left. And I have a few of our fathers in the diaspora here. Dr. Z is here, Mr. Frederick, thank you guys for joining us. So what is the role of the diaspora in terms of even trying to reverse some of the brain drain? I'm not saying there's a lot of brain drain that has moved out of the country, and it's happening every day. I was reading an article that I think we're down to like 24,000 doctors in one area, and most of the physicians or the doctors have jackpad, and IT specialists are jackpying on a daily basis. So what is the role of the diaspora in contributing to this new dawn, since we've gotten so much from Nigeria?
Well, I'm one of the few people in Nigeria not really worried about Japanism or whatever, or the Japanization of professionals. I worry about doctors, because a doctor, it takes how many years to produce a doctor? I mean, and I'm just talking of somebody who is just a graduate of medical school. I'm not even talking about those who become residents, those who become consultants. So it breaks my heart that doctors are leaving the country. It breaks my heart. There are some skills that you can easily replace. You cannot easily replace the skill of a doctor. The longer a doctor stays on the job, the more experience. The patient, what you discovered yesterday, they are discovering new things today. So even if we are rolling out 100,000 doctors per year, those who have left, they are living with something. That one really pains me. However, there are several reasons why I support this JAPA idea. Some of them may be funny, but just bear with me. One, we're a country of 200 million people. How many people have really left this country? Are they up to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million? There is an element of overpopulation in the country. So if people are getting opportunities abroad, not a bad idea. Two, when people go abroad to work, it's a new world. It's a different world for them. There was a nurse who was working with our foundation, who is now in the UK. And she's saying, oh, it's a new world. The way doctors treat patients, the way they talk to patients is different from the way doctors treat patients, the way doctors talk to patients here. Because if you talk to patients anyhow, you can face disciplinary actions. So nurses here will be talking to some nurses, not everyone, talk to patients in a very condescending manner. Some are very negligent. I lost a friend because the oxygen, whatever they put in his nose, he was not feeling, he was cold. That's why in the hospital he was sick. The thing removed, they didn't know. So it was when somebody went to check on him that the thing had gone at loose. The guy died. And there were nurses and all them in the world when it happened. If that one happens in the UK or Canada or US, their heads will roll. So people are learning about, they are learning new skills. They are learning about how to treat work culture. They are learning about ethics that we don't take seriously in Nigeria. They're also acquiring new skills because they have everything. I remember a friend of mine was doing his master's program in the UK. He said, I went to see him. He was at the London School of Economics. And he said, Simon, there's no excuse there not to pass you. You can't say NEPA took light. There's light 24/7. You can't say, oh, the teacher didn't come. It's not true. You have teacher for everything. The teacher has come. You can't say, I didn't have a book. Say, even if the book is not in your library, they have an arrangement. If you order the book today, in 2-3 days, they will bring it to you. So there's no reason. So Nigerians are abroad, there's no reason to fail. Every equipment they need, they can get it there. So they learn all these things. Two, when they have learned all these things, there is also what they call Japada. Some will still come back to Nigeria, come back. If you see hospitals established in Nigeria by those who have done medical practice abroad, it's a different thing altogether. Even the bed that they are going to examine you, they are changing the sheet every minute. It's not the same sheet they are going to use for 100 people. So they learn that, they bring that skill on board. Number 4, I'm not talking about doctors now, but generally, if you move abroad, somebody will take your position. If a bank manager relocates or a branch something, somebody will be promoted. It's an opportunity to also recruit more people. We are so many in this country that a lot of people are in the labor market, so you have people to fill it. Finally, there's something called remittances. A lot of families in Nigeria today are sustained by the remittances coming from abroad. They are building houses, they are creating jobs for bricklayers and carpenters and all those things. Oh, my daughter is sick, you send money. Oh, your mama is this, you send money. This one is doing graduation. So the remittances, I'm still going to do some research on remittances. I know that Indians have the highest remittances in the world. So Indians are also jackpotting. There are Indian doctors in Nigeria. There are Indian doctors everywhere you go in the world. So it is not, we shouldn't take it negatively. Although where it affects us is that we don't have enough doctors and doctors are leaving. So that is where I have problems. Even pilots, you know what it takes to train a pilot, the number of flight hours a pilot, some pilots are leaving. So it's a problem. But for several other professions, no, it's a good thing. And they're going to play a big role when we have the right leadership in Nigeria. They will be encouraged to come back. What many people are asking for is not that much. They want constant power, constant electricity, and security. That's what they're asking for. They are not saying they should be given private jets. They're not asking for mansions. Just simple things so that life can be worth living. And when we have the right leadership that can inspire people, then you will see that they'll come back. Obasanjo brought back a lot of Nigerians from the diaspora. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was in the US. She came back to Nigeria. And to encourage her, we have to pay her a salary that's above what is currently was being paid in the structure. And people started making all kinds of trouble. That, oh, why are you paying her higher? If you are going to encourage somebody who's earning $1 million, you now want to offer the person $1 million in Nigeria. So, and you see many of them, when they go, they come back, they add value to the system. So I hope with these few points of mine, I'll be able to convince you that Japarism is good for the health of the country.
And so we want to jackpot back. Those of us that are still away, we want to jackpot. We want to jackpot. We want to jackpot. So thank you for all those, and I really appreciate you taking the time to answer all those questions. Uncle Afolabi, apologies that your hand has been off for a while, so we can take you as his hand. So thank you for your patience.
My hand is broken.
I'm sorry. We will bandage it.
Back. Okay.
I want to jackpot
back.
Where
you are. I will jump back to where you are. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thank you very much. This is a very insightful and session. I really appreciate it. I just have two questions very quickly. First question is debates. How can the media play a major role in these presidential candidates coming for debates, at least 3 debates, and showing up, not sending the running mate or anything, showing up? And if they do not show up, how can the media make it a major consequence to the electorate, for the electorate to know this is a major violation of not voting for this candidate in the first? And my second question is, whoever comes in and wins, what would be your expectations, or what would you like to see them do in their first 100 days in office? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. The first question, presidential debates. Oh, should I take plenty of questions, or I should just answer as we go?
Take that. I think that's the
Okay.
only hand we have up, and I'm going to call upon Mr. Oderige to also comment. So please go ahead and take that question.
Okay. Okay, presidential debates. It's unfortunate. The whole, it started in 1999 when Obasanjo refused to show up when it was time for him to debate with Olufalaye. He didn't participate. So in 2003, he also did not show up because it was going to be a referendum on his on his 4-year in office. And you know, a sitting president is always at a disadvantage because there are a lot of things to judge you by, but somebody who is coming, there are a few things to judge them by. It also continued. I remember in 2011, Jonathan did not participate in any debate. Eventually, NT organized one, and he was busy debating with himself. He was the only one that attended the debate. In 2015, too, I can't remember what happened. I don't think Jonathan and Buhari also did not debate. 2019, Buhari also did not show up. So they have made it a culture. And I think we have got to a stage now where Nigerians are now saying, no, it has to happen. The only consequence will be for people to be angry because it's not in the law. The law does not make it compulsory. So they cannot be disqualified for not. But the electorate will now say, no, you are taking us for granted. You are insulting us. So that should make them lose some votes. And I'm aware that there will be debates. Like you said, let's just hope they're not going to be sending some junior people to attend the debate. But for now, there's something we can do. We can only make noise, we can only abuse them and all those things, but the law does not make it compulsory for them. Now, the second question on the expectations from the president in the first 100 days. One, the new president must appoint a solid cabinet. That is the starting point. A solid cabinet. A cabinet, there are certain positions that cannot be given to politicians. They must be given to those who really understand the field. So the appointment of the cabinet is going to tell a lot. For me, will let me know whether this person is serious or just here to, is using us to play. 2, security. If the president comes in and he spends the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks holding security meetings, mapping out strategies, and we are seeing changes on the streets. We are seeing changes in international attitude to Nigeria. We are seeing international people getting ready to help us. Then I'll know that, okay, this is a serious person. And I can see it's something that can be seen. If someone is serious with this security thing, you can see it. There's no need to say, no, we are doing something only that you don't know. No, you will know if somebody is taking it more seriously. Fuel subsidy, 6 trillion naira a year for a country that is borrowing. For Nigerians who have jackpot, they know what they are paying for a liter of fuel. It's not my. Even in neighboring countries, Ghana, they are paying like 600 naira per liter. Nobody's arguing because they never took it as a birthright. But Nigeria is our birthright. We were born to buy fuel. Even Dubai, Saudi Arabia, that is the richest in oil, they don't sell their petrol cheap. Because if we can afford it, it's not even a problem. We can't afford it. We are taking loans. We are in debt. Our revenue cannot even pay our debt. We are borrowing to pay our debt. We are digging one hole to fill another hole. So if the new president comes and is dilly-dallying again, I say, oh, this one is playing politics. In 2015, Nigerians were waiting for anything Buhari wanted to do. If I could have killed anybody and got away with it, say, yeah, it's in the interest, we'll say it's in the interest of Nigeria. But 6 months, no action, it became clear that he was not going to take a new course. So those are my expectations. The cabinet, I expect a very solid cabinet. I'm not expecting 100% solid cabinet, but there are some positions, finance, petroleum, some key positions that we know that, oh, this is a serious president.
Thank you. Uncle Afolabi is going to be a transition advisor for the new incoming cabinet. So those are the good points that he has. Before I take Adiola and Sister Kufu, I wanted Mr. Odorige to please have his comments. He's joining us. I believe you're in, I know you're in one far country. So is Mr. Odorige, are you still here with us? Odorige, did I pronounce that right? Yes, let me see if he's still here. If not, we'll go ahead and take
Hello.
Is he still
everyone?
Here? Okay.
Hello,
Good
hello
evening.
everyone. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm glad to be here. Good evening from here, everyone.
Where is here? Sorry, where is here?
Yes, I live in Budapest, the capital city of Hungary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so
we're glad you could join us today. Thank you.
Thank you too. You said
so
I
your
should.
Comment.
You said
your
I
comment
should,
on your comment on the new dawn.
The new dawn. To me, I believe that the 2023 elections is going to be a fight between light and darkness. It is going to be a war of the mind and the spirit. And I'm speaking like this because there are some persons that will not let go. The pharaohs of our time, the political ancestors, they will not want the people to go free. Those people that feast on the blood of Nigerians. There are some people that invest in the blood of Nigerians. They sponsor terrorists to kill, to kidnap, and all of that. So those people would not just let go. These are people who they still will be talking about oil, people who steal 80% of our oil, and they now borrow in our names and loot in their names. Such persons will not want to let go easily. We're talking about certificate forgers and husbands of underage girls making laws for people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Such people, they are the caterpillars of our time. They don't let go easily. So that is why I'm saying that it's going to be a fight between we, the people, and these ones that I have just mentioned. You know, when people borrow 31 trillion within 7 years, and they're telling you that they have spread it in form of a bond for 40 years, that is, they have borrowed for generations to pay in the next 40 years. Some of all these persons, they will not want a president that will come and start to ask them questions. How did you allocate this money? How did you steal? So it becomes a battle, you know. But
what is the role of Nigerians? You know, because we can't go back and change that. We're going forward. What can we do to make sure that we bring in the right leader? I guess
that is why it is a battle.
Okay.
Nigerians should be ready for the battle, but this time around it should be it should be revolution without ammunition, you know. But some of them would like to employ the use of ammunition because they want to violently retain power. So what should Nigerians do? Nigerians should simply say, never again.
And go to the polling vote.
Never again. You know, because if you look at the 2019 elections, plus minus rigging, Buhari scored about 15 million votes or thereabout, but 53 million Nigerians who had their PVCs were at home watching TV, waiting for the results. So imagine that those 53 million people came out to vote. They would have changed, you know, the result. Yeah, the dynamics. Yeah. So Nigerians should please come out and vote. The era of Naso Wisiamo, now what you will go do now, that era has passed.
Yeah.
So that is what I just want to say. And,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank
So
you.
we need to push for us to, I mean, I wish I could vote. We need to push for those that have PVC to go out and vote. Thank you. Thank
yes,
you.
can I just add something concerning the diasporans? If you are in diaspora, you know, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. It's enough of sending money home for school fees for this and that. If somebody tells you in Nigeria, please send me money, tell the person to show you his or her PVC. No PVC, no, because to
No remittance.
Yes,
no Western Union.
we have been using the word Jakba. It is not easy to Jakba. You understand? So if you don't have PVC, take off yourself, because the fact is that when problems are solved at home, people are employed, they have electricity and all that. The problems of Nigerians in diaspora become less. You know, we always have this extended family in Nigeria, so we take care of all of that.
Yeah.
But please, what Nigerians in diaspora should do is encourage your people at home. If you don't do this, if you don't show me your PVC, nothing for you. And
thank you.
We should also make sure we encourage them. Apart from family, if you can print T-shirt, if you can sponsor some people, you support some people, mobilize some people in your village, in your community to go and vote, fine. Because it is better for the people to sponsor candidates than for candidates to sponsor voters. When candidates sponsor voters, the people suffer. But when the people sponsor a candidate, prosperity comes.
Thank you for those comments. Really appreciate you. Since we're coming up, we're going to take this. If I could ask you to take this last 3 questions at the same time, and so that we can close up with Miss. I don't know if Adiola Umikunle, please go ahead, and Sisi Kufo, you'll be next, and then Mr. Alex Ajibade. So go ahead, Adiola, with your question. I've asked you to unmute. Okay, Sikofo, I'll go ahead and take you. Go ahead.
All right, good afternoon.
And then if Adiola comes back, we'll take good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Mr. Kolawole, for a well-articulated presentation. I agree with you that we tend to focus so much on national elections, forgetting the other levels of government. And we also spoke about education, the current state of education. I'm wondering if you think that having multiple languages and having our system of government awareness campaign translated into multiple languages, whether you think that will really increase our understanding of the democratic system that we have.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. There's a place for public enlightenment.
Can you take 2 more questions so that you can take them together, if you don't mind, if that's okay with you? Okay. Mr. Ajibade, can you ask your question? And then Adiola will ask their question, and then maybe you can answer all 3, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Ajibade, please go ahead with yours. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, boys. Many a times I've talked of revolution here, whether civil or military. How do you do? My question is, if you have a revolution without ammunition and the people in authority comes with their ammunition, what will be your own reaction? Like, what happens at the SARS? What do you want the people to do? That is one. The second question I want to ask is removal of subsidy. Right now, we know that whatever happens, whether you sell or you don't sell, those in authorities, especially the House, their budget goes and they take their money. Now, and we know that why are we consuming so much fuel? What we see at the figures does not correlate with the actual things that are happening, because all the countries by our side, whether Cameroon or Benin Republic, it is Nigerian oil that is the cheapest. So we smuggle it out, and the powers that be, everybody look at the other side. So somebody coming in, so fuel subsidy actually is what the only thing I see in this country that both the poor and the rich, the peasants enjoy, and gives us at least make the prices of things a bit stable. But once the subsidy is removed, food items will go up, everything. When I say, I mean everything will go up. So what do we do? Are Nigerians, do you think Nigerians will be ready to go through the pains that will give birth to that nice baby we are looking for? Because subsidy going, yes, will give us a better life. But when subsidy goes, there will be joblessness, no fuel, no vehicles we charge to bring food to the market. Everything goes up. Right now, everybody, even you want to buy APC now, they will say dollar. You want to buy egusi in the market, they say dollar don't go up. Now, what do we do? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So one more question. I'm going to try Adiola again. And if, Adiola, please go ahead and ask your question if you're still there. Okay. If not, please go ahead, sir, and take your, okay. So Adiola.
She said she can't unmute.
Yeah, okay, so let me read her question. Please, can Mr. Kolawole explain have a change, or maybe how a change of system? I don't understand that. I'm unable, please, can Mr. Kolawole, can you read that?
Yeah, I think what she says is that how can we change the system?
Because things,
if I'm saying a change of leadership cannot resolve the problem, so then how can we change the system to make the change in leadership? I guess that is the question.
That is
I hope I'm not misrepresenting the question.
Okay, so can you go ahead and answer those three questions?
Yes, on multiple languages, I agree that people need to be enlightened. But the people that are supposed to do it, no government is going to come to you and say the road in front of your house, so I'm the one that's supposed to build it, not federal government, but I've refused to do it. I've failed in my responsibilities. Oh, the primary school, I'm the one that's supposed to do it, I'm not doing it. Or the healthcare center, the truth is that it even pays the governors and the local government chairman for us to continue to blame the president for everything. It pays them. Because you take your eyes away from what is happening right in front of your house and you blame everything on Abuja. So it has to be the people. It has to be civil society organizations. It has to be activists, individuals, media that have to take the lead in enlightening the people. A governor will come and say, oh, I'm going to give you water, I'm going to do this. And by the time during the election, by the time the election is over, you don't see them again. And then they come and give you rice, you collect. They give you bread, you collect. Because you think that is the only thing you are going to benefit from this. So we must begin to take a step further and say, okay, thank you for the rice, Mr. Governor. But what about the water here? We have not had water in the last 10 years. We have been going to the stream. So people need to be educated, enlightened on that. And I agree, it has to be in multiple languages. Because the majority of us in Nigeria, we only look at those of us who live in urban areas. People in rural areas, they have their own way of communicating with each other. I remember when the birth control, the family planning thing started. Initially, people were not warming up to it, but it was translated to local languages. And family planning is now part and parcel of the lives of Nigerians, especially southern Nigerians and those in the middle belt. So that is the power of messaging, the power of public enlightenment. So I am fully in support that there should be organizations educating the people, letting them know the responsibility of every level of government, making them to ask the right questions. On the issue of revolution without ammunition, that if you go to, if you are campaigning for change and the soldiers come after you, what are you going to do? Are you going to carry your own guns or whatever, you know? Yeah, it's very sad, but if you look at examples from across the world, you can actually have change that is, that you don't necessarily have to carry guns. The Arab Spring did not last long, but you can see how social action, how public a movement brought down many governments. Of course, the follow-up, it didn't end well at the end of the day because it's like they're back to where they were. But it sent a message to the country, to the Middle East. You can see what is happening in Iran now over a lady that was detained because she don't wear the hijab and she died in detention. People are protesting. Things you would never have imagined will happen in Iran. And that's how it starts. They will think it's a joke. Now, so they will know that we cannot repress these people forever. You know, as we used to sing in our days when we were students, Rastas, how many people soldier go kill? Because it was under the military government and they were killing us. And we were going out to protest. You know, during the NSRC, they say we are a docile generation. We never protested. It's only the NSRC people that have ever protested in the history of Nigeria. It's not true. I participated in protests as a university student. How many people soldier go kill? So at the end of the day, even the democracy we have today, it was because there were people who stood their ground that know we must end military rule. So by the time Abacha died, if Abacha wanted to transmit to a civilian president, by the time he died, it was just clear that this power we had to have a democracy. So we should not give up. South Africa was under apartheid for only God knows how many years, and eventually they got their freedom. Subsidy, there's a lot of argument around subsidy that is peculiar to Nigeria. Fuel subsidy. The poor people will suffer. In Ghana, they are buying petrol at 600 naira per liter. In Benin Republic, they are buying it at 600 naira per liter or less. They have poor people. They are not poorer than Nigerians. But it was not in their culture. They didn't see it as the best right from day one. When you go to don't take my word for it, go to Ghana and find out how much they are buying. They are not richer than Nigeria. They are not richer than Nigerians. I was at a filling station one day. The guy was selling petrol for me, 165 naira. I said, we're enjoying this country. Do you know that this thing in Ghana is around, after that time, it was around 300. He said, but the government of Ghana is doing a lot for Ghana. I just laughed. Go to Ghana and tell me what the government of Ghana is doing for Ghana. Subsidy is not about, we say, oh, that is what the poor people are benefiting. If we really break this thing down, it's the rich people that are benefiting. For Canada that can afford to pay 500 naira per liter for fuel, and it won't hurt me. But I'm being asked to pay 165. The money that can go into healthcare, the money if you ask a typical, you go to a public hospital, there are no beds, there are no drugs, and say, okay, this 6 trillion that we are spending on petrol subsidy, let's direct it to education. Let's use it to recruit teachers. Let's use it to improve classroom infrastructure. Let's use it to improve loose and lasso, so that when you get there are enough doctors, they will be well paid, you have drugs, you have a scanning machine. Nigerians will say, no, it's subsidy. That is, I prefer subsidy. And then we'll still be complaining. We'll still be complaining. Anywhere in the world you go to, only very few countries are still talking about fuel subsidy, because it's not a productive way of spending money. It's not. It's not our fault. There will be pains, yes. If you increase anything, there will be pains. But don't let us think of today alone. Let's think of 10 years. The money we've poured into subsidy since 1999, if we have poured it into roads, there is no road in this country that will not be tagged. If you have poured it into hospitals, there is no hospital that will not have drugs and equipment, scanning equipment, any machine you want. If you have spent it elsewhere. So when we keep insisting that it is for the poor, to be honest, I used to make this argument. So don't think, I used to make this argument, but I have looked at it again and again. Who are the people benefiting from subsidy? And then when you are selling petrol 165 naira in Nigeria and it's 600 naira in the Cotonou, you are saying we shouldn't smuggle. There's incentive for everybody to smuggle. Those who smuggle, they keep a large cash pile in the truck. As you reach every bus stop, you are giving the security people their share. You are giving them one bundle, and they say one bundle, and they say go. In fact, those who smuggle, they know because if it is 165 naira in Nigeria, 165 naira in the Republic, why should there be smuggling? Yeah. My argument is, let us tighten the security. Let us make the security people work. They can do that. How? When your salary is, if you are earning 100,000 naira per month, you are earning well in Nigeria by Nigerian standards. And somebody will give you 200,000 to allow it to talk fast, and you will say no. You will. So the subsidy thing has created this perverse incentives for people to go into to game the system, and we are just looking at it.
We need to continue to educate ourselves on fuel subsidy. So before we let you go, Pastor Lu, you have something. we won't let you go without those 3 questions that Pastor always asks at the end of each session. But before we do that, Pastor Lou, you have something to play for participants? Can you go ahead and Pastor Lou? Okay, thank you.
My name is Ituah Ighodalo, President and Chairperson of the African Leadership Group. First of all, let me thank all those who have kept faith with us on the platform, and let me invite those who have not to come and be part of the African Leadership Group. The African Leadership Group is directed at improving, enhancing, strengthening leadership across Africa. The emphasis right now, for obvious reasons, is on Nigeria with our Nigerian Leadership Series, where we meet every Thursday at 5 o'clock to discuss the issues of leadership, governance, and the presidency of Nigeria or otherwise. We intend to take the African Leadership Group all across Africa and even into diaspora, into the US and into other countries like that, Canada, wherever you have people of African descent, to ensure that there's leadership. A lot of us have complained for many years that the foundation was wrong, colonialism, slavery, so on and so forth. We agree. But what Joseph said is that what the devil meant for evil, God turned it to good. So somehow we must bring good out of all that oppression and suppression and speak to ourselves as Africans and take our destiny into our hands and see exactly what we're going to do. It's time to wake up. So we're interested in leadership. We're interested in strong leadership, interested in sincere leadership. We're interested in genuine leadership. We're interested in hard-working leadership. We're interested in leadership that loves the people. We're also interested in fostering peace and dialogue across the different warring and differing parts of Africa, the Muslims and the Christians, ethnic lines, tribal lines, societal lines, and so on and so forth, just to ensure that there's peace on this continent and the continent can fulfill its purpose. We're also bent on grooming the younger ones in the right way so that they understand what to do, and when it's their own time for leadership, they can take charge and bring about a truly, truly exceptional continent and this exceptional set of people. So what do we want you to do? Join us on the African Leadership Group. As usual, we're on all social media handles, and I'm sure you can see them being projected on the screen. So whichever one fits your comfort or your fancy, please try and tune in, join us, and witness the great things that the Lord is helping us do, even as Africans. I believe that Africa and Africans are the greatest people on earth. I believe that we have all that it takes to do outstanding things. I believe that even God is on our side, blessing that continent with exceptional resource. I think that the rest is in our hands. Wake up, Africa. Let's fulfill God's purpose for our lives. Thank you all for listening. Looking forward to seeing you join this movement to transform Africa. And as you do that, you will be transformed. God bless you.
And that video should, Pastor Luca, you put that in the chat too, so that you can also share. We all have a role to play in moving Africa forward and Nigeria forward. And I think we've started it by being here. Thank you, Mr. Kolawole, for those very insightful. I learned a lot listening to you, and I'm sure a lot of us did the same. So thank you. And I'm sure we'll have more of you as you continue to enlighten us on other subjects. Pastor Sonny is on. Welcome, Pastor Sonny. But before we go, the question is, if you were president, what would you do?
I will increase. I'll give every Nigerian $1 million.
Then in that case, I better go and put your name on INEC. We better find a way to put you on the ballot, because yeah, go ahead.
Actually, if I was president of Nigeria, that's one thing that would be a major project for me, what I call cooperative federalism. Cooperative federalism. Currently, we run what I call antagonistic federalism, in which everybody is trying to take whatever you can take. People are, a kind of unhealthy competition. Or we need a cooperative federalism. And what am I saying? Every level of government coming together, agreeing on a plan of action for the development of Nigeria, and everybody key into it. It's very, very critical. So that when we are talking about roads, infrastructure, we are talking about healthcare, my priority will be your priority. Maybe you just adopt it to local realities. So maybe maternal health is my problem in Kogi State. In your own place is infant mortality. So, but health will be a basic thing. We can have a course of action to say, okay, roads, every year, let's do this kind of road. And I say, okay, federal government, we are spending this on road. Any road in your state that belongs to federal government, go and do it. We will give you the money. Or even encourage laws to be made so that every road in every state will be done by government. So federal government will shed some of its budget, some of its revenue for the states to be able to do this roads. I believe that for Nigeria to move forward, we need cooperative federalism. That is, we have a common agenda and we have a common action plan. We have common priorities because it's the same problem most of us are having, just that it differs in degree. But if you go to Sokoto today, people are saying there's no food. You go to Rivers State today, they're saying food is expensive. You go to, it's the same, we suffer similar issues, malaria and all that in different degrees. So I think we need a cooperative form of federalism to be able to move the country forward. But if you think it's the president that will sit down in Abuja and will end malaria in Ika local government in Delta State, I think we are still far away from reality.
Yeah. Thank you so very much for joining this afternoon. Pastor Sonny, do you have anything else to add before we close?
No, I'm very fine. Thank you very much, Jumoke, for handling the floor. Mr. Kolawole, thank you very much for your beautiful presentation and all those that participated. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join earlier on. I had some other engagement, but other than that, nothing. I will listen to the rest of it, and I'm sure it all went well. Thank you, Jumoke. Take it away.
Okay, Pastor has rejoined. So Pastor has rejoined us. He would close the sessions. And I put in, the information. You can email info@africanleadershipgroup.org if you're interested in joining the organization or one of the committees. There's also a second email there, and you'll be given information on the different committees and how you can participate. So go ahead. I'm handing it over to Pastor now. Thank you, Mr. Kolawole. I learned a lot from you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Truly appreciate you.
Yeah. Okay.
Pastor Sonny, is Pastor in?
I am not sure. Not sure. Yeah.
Pastor Olu, I don't see Pastor in here. Is he in?
I think he's still trying to join.
Oh, he's trying to join. Okay.
Maybe I think you can. Maybe you can close if he's not here.
Yeah, he hasn't. We'll wait. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining. This was a very insightful session. I'm sure this is probably not going to be the last time, and we're hoping we have also the scoring card that will be rolling out next week. And Mr. Kolawole will definitely be calling on you for that as well, to look at it and also help send it out. The leadership, the ALG leadership scoring assessment tool is insightful. It kind of helps us really take a critical look at our leaders before we vote for them. So we'll be rolling that out next week as well, and more to come. So thank you everyone for joining. We hope you can also help circulate the video. I put the link to the YouTube channel in the chat group. So please go ahead and share. There was a lot of information that Mr. Kolawole shared with us today, particularly on the change, the Naira change, and even on the flooding issue that is happening in Nigeria right now. So we ask that you continue to keep Nigeria in your prayers, continue to keep the flood victims in your prayers, their families in your prayers as well. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time here, and we'll see you next week, Thursday. Please go ahead and feel free to forward this to your contact group. Share it as we share jokes all the time. So please share the link so that more Nigerians can be informed, and together we will build a greater nation. Thank you all for coming. God bless you.
Thank you, Sister Jim.